close. He's saying you need to refocus your thinking rather on who you are as opposed to what you have. And so many times we want to define each other by what we have. A lot of us want to hang out with people that we think have something. Sometimes we think that that enhances our identity. We can hang out with people who are perceived to have something. And you ought to look and see how shallow that is, to be hanging out with people who have something. Because most people I know who have something keep running after some more. They ain't never satisfied. And so that unfulfilled spirit then registers in the hearts of the people who trying to be like the people who they perceive have something. And that ain't the main thing. Sounds simple on the surface, but its profundity is in its simplicity. That the more we have, the more we want. And at some point, you ought to come to realize that stuff don't satisfy. Got to be deeper than that. Amen. So we need to change how we think about the stuff that we have and what is really the priority in life. That's what it is. It's life out of sync when we keep worrying about stuff that we can't change. Stuff that is out of our controls. The second thing, consider God's care for the lesser. He said, I take care of the ravens of the air. Listen, the ravens don't have no barns to store nothing. Ravens just fly and provisions are made. Consider the lilies of the field. They just grow. And he says, and they're clothed more beautifully than Solomon. And all that Solomon had, Solomon was a bad man, but yet he couldn't dress the lily of the field like God could. And he says this, that if God can take care of the lesser, and the lily of the field is a lesser, and the raven of the air is a lesser. Lesser in that they are not made in the image of God. And if God so took care of the lesser, then how about you and I? We are created in the image of God. In the Omega Dia, we are created just like him. And if God can clothe the lily of the field, who never sits and worries about anything, how about you and I? And I know we living in some tedious times. Is that a word? Look that up for me. Look that up. Tedious. Look that up. Because if it ain't a word, then the next worship I'll change it around and come up with something else. Tedious just sounds like pressure. We are living in times where there are setbacks and cut-offs and closures and rising prices and foreclosures and all of the likes. And even the people of God find themselves worrying about stuff that just last year they hadn't given it a thought. You be honest with yourself. You've sat here and you wondered how God was going to do it. And you've forgotten about that you laid down last night and fell right to sleep. And while you were sound asleep, God was taking care of business. Praise his name. Because he who keeps Israel neither slumbers nor sleep. And you got to know that God knows what God is doing. And I don't care who's in the White House, who's in the green house, who's in the yellow house, who's in the black house. God still sits high